Welcome to Millennium News 24, Daily News Update. I am with you. Now details this time. A Manhattan judge on Tuesday modified Donald Trump's gag order, freeing the former president to comment publicly about witnesses and jurors in the hush-money criminal trial that led to his felony conviction, but keeping others connected to the former president's case off limits until he is sentenced July 11. Judge Juan M. Merchan's decision just days before Trump's debate Thursday with President Joe Biden clears the presumptive Republican to again go on the attack against his former lawyer Michael Cohen, porn actor Stormy Daniels and other witnesses. Trump was convicted in New York on May 30 of falsifying records to cover up a potential sex scandal, making him the first ex-president convicted of a crime. In a 5-page ruling Tuesday, Merchan wrote that the gag order was meant to protect the integrity of the judicial proceedings and that protections for witnesses and jurors no longer applied now that the trial has ended and the jury has been discharged. Julian Lewis didn't pull over for the Georgia State Patrol cruiser flashing its blue lights behind him on a rural highway. He still didn't stop after pointing a hand out the window and turning onto a darkened dirt road as the trooper sounded his siren. 5 minutes into a pursuit that began over a broken taillight, the 60-year-old black man was dead shot in the forehead by the white trooper who fired a single bullet mere seconds after forcing Lewis to crash into a ditch. Trooper Jake Thompson insisted he pulled the trigger as Lewis revved the engine of his Nissan Sentra and jerked his steering wheel as if trying to mow him down. "I had to shoot this man," Thompson can be heard telling a supervisor on video recorded by his dash-mounted camera at the shooting scene in rural Screven County, midway between Savannah and Augusta. "And I'm just scared." The fate of Karen Reed was handed Tuesday to jurors who must decide whether the Massachusetts woman ended a rocky romance by angrily striking her boyfriend with her SUV, leaving him mortally injured in the snow, or is a victim of police corruption, framed to cover up a fight at the home of a fellow Boston officer. Jurors got to work after a 2-month murder trial in the death of Boston officer John O'Keefe in January 2022. The case has drawn outsized attention, fanned by true crime bloggers and Reed's pink-shirted supporters. Defense lawyer Alan Jackson described a cancer of lies that spreads into a conspiracy and told jurors they're the only thing standing between Karen Reed and the tyranny of injustice. "You have been lied to in this courtroom. Your job is to make sure you don't ever look the other way," he said Tuesday. More than 500 people, some linked to transnational cartels and organized crime rings, have been charged with gun trafficking and other crimes under the landmark gun safety legislation President Joe Biden signed 2 years ago Tuesday. A White House report obtained by the Associated Press on the implementation of the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act also said that enhanced background checks under the new law have stopped roughly 800 sales of firearms to people under age 21 who would be prohibited from buying them. It highlights that 14 states are using or planning to use funding from the legislation to make better use offered flag laws, which allow law enforcement to remove weapons from people in crisis but are often underused or not well understood. And the report lays out how $85 million in funding has been awarded to 125 school districts across 18 states to help identify students who need mental health care and help them access it. Senior Uni officials have warned Israel that they will suspend the world body's aid operations across Gaza unless Israel acts urgently to better protect humanitarian workers, to Uni officials said Tuesday. The ultimatum is the latest in a series of Uni steps demanding Israel do more to safeguard aid operations from strikes by its forces and to curb growing lawlessness hindering humanitarian workers. A Uni letter sent to Israeli officials this month said Israel must provide Uni workers with a way to communicate directly with Israeli force in the ground in Gaza, among other steps, the officials said. They spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss ongoing negotiations with Israeli officials. The Uni officials said there has been no final decision on suspending operations across Gaza and that talks with Israelis were ongoing. What people remember from Joe Biden and Donald Trump's first debate 4 years ago are likely the interruptions, the shouting and the "will you shut up, man?" Then President Trump arrived at that first matchup in Cleveland seemingly determined to steamroll Biden at every turn, leaving the Democratic candidate exasperated and moderator Chris Wallace scrambling to regain control. Now, in 2024, many of the rules insisted on this time by Biden's team and agreed to by the Trump campaign are designed to minimize the potential of a chaotic rerun. Each candidate's microphone will be muted, except when it's his turn to speak. There will be no studio audience to chime in with hoots and jeers. The second and final presidential debate of 2020, held in Nashville, Tennessee, was a far more subdued event than the first, aided by a mute button and participants who were perhaps chastened by terrible reviews from the first matchup, particularly for Trump. A short break from the daily English news of Millennium News 24. Stay tuned.